So you're paying $2,400 a month in rent, right? And every single month, someone, your parents, your uncle at Thanksgiving, that one friend who bought a condo in 2019, tells you you're throwing money away. Meanwhile, your coworker just bought a house and they won't shut up about building equity. And you're sitting there thinking, am I actually an idiot? Am I literally flushing $30,000 a year down the toilet? Here's the thing, you're probably not the idiot in this situation. My name is Max, and I spend way too much time thinking about housing mathematics and why everyone seems to have the worst possible takes on renting versus buying. If you're someone who's been made to feel financially irresponsible for renting, or you're genuinely confused about whether buying a home is the smart move everyone says it is, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because today, we're going to completely dismantle the biggest financial myth that's probably costing people hundreds of thousands of dollars in opportunity cost. And look, I'm not here to tell you that buying is always bad or renting is always good. That would be just as stupid as the advice you're currently getting. What I'm going to show you is the actual math that almost nobody talks about, the hidden costs that real estate agents conveniently forget to mention, and the psychological tricks that make you think you're behind when you're actually making the smarter play. Let's start by addressing the elephant in the room. Rent is throwing money away. This might be the single most financially damaging piece of advice that gets passed around like it's gospel truth. And here's why it's so insidious. It feels true. You write a check for $2,400, you get nothing tangible back, and at the end of the year, you have zero to show for it, right? Wrong. Completely wrong. Here's what most people don't realize. When you buy a home, you're also throwing money away. A lot of money away. It's just hidden in ways that make it psychologically easier to ignore. Let me break down the math for you, because this is where it gets really interesting. Let's say you're looking at a $500,000 home. National median home price in the US right now is around $417,000, according to the Federal Reserve, but we'll use $500,000 because in any major city, that's closer to reality. You put down 20%, that's $100,000. You take out a $400,000 mortgage at, let's say, 7% interest, which is roughly where rates have been hovering recently. Your monthly mortgage payment? $2,661. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Max, that's basically the same as my $2,400 rent, so I might as well buy and build equity. Not so fast. That $2,661? In the first month, $2,333 of that goes purely to interest. Only $328 goes toward your principal, toward actually owning more of your house. That's your equity building, $328. The rest? That's $2,333 that you're, what's the phrase everyone loves? Oh right, throwing away. But wait, we're just getting started. Because homeownership has a bunch of costs that renters never deal with. Property taxes. On a $500,000 home, you're looking at around $6,000 to $15,000 per year, depending on your state. Let's call it $10,000 or $833 per month. Homeowners insurance. Average is about $1,500 annually or $125 per month. Maintenance and repairs. The standard rule is 1% of your home's value per year. That's $5,000 annually or $417 per month. And this isn't optional. Roofs leak, water heaters die, HVAC systems break. HOA fees. If applicable, these average $200 to $400 per month. Let's add this up conservatively, excluding HOA. Mortgage, $2,661. Property tax, $833. Insurance, $125. Maintenance, $417. Total, $4,036 per month. Versus your $2,400 rent, that's a difference of $1,636 per month, or $19,632 per year. Now, I know what you're thinking. But Max, I'm building equity. Are you though? In year one, you're building about $4,000 in equity through principal payments. You're spending an extra $19,632 to build $4,000 in equity. That's not an investment. That's not smart. That's lighting money on fire and calling it financial responsibility. Here's where this gets really interesting. And this is the part that should make you angry at everyone who's been giving you housing advice. Remember that $100,000 down payment? Let's talk about what else you could do with that money. If you invested that $100,000 in a basic S&P 500 index fund, historically returning about 10% annually, in 30 years, that would be worth approximately $1.75 million. But Max, my house would appreciate too. Sure, let's talk about that. Average home appreciation in the US over the long term is about 3 to 4% annually. Let's be generous and say 4%. Your $500,000 home in 30 years at 4% appreciation, $1.62 million. Except you didn't invest $500,000. You invested $100,000 down, plus, let's say, another $600,000 in mortgage payments, property taxes, insurance, and maintenance over 30 years. You put in $700,000 to get $1.62 million. That's a 2.3 times return. The renter who invested the down payment difference and the monthly savings, they put in $100,000 initially, plus $1,636 per month, $588,960 over 30 years, for a total of $688,960. At 10% returns, that's worth approximately, wait for it, $4.3 million. Let me say that again. The renter who invested their savings ends up with $4.3 million. The homeowner ends up with a $1.62 million house. So why does everyone still insist buying is smarter? Psychology. Pure psychology. Look, humans are terrible at understanding opportunity cost. We can see a house. We can feel ownership. We get a dopamine hit from saying, I own this. Renting feels passive. It feels like you're not making progress. And we're wired to value tangible assets over abstract ones, even when the abstract ones are worth literally millions more. There's also something called forced savings. People argue that a mortgage forces you to save because you have to make that payment. And look, for people with zero financial discipline, that's not entirely wrong. But it's also the most expensive savings account in human history. You're paying 7% interest to force yourself to save money that's appreciating at 4%. That's backwards.
Now, before you think I'm some radical anti-home ownership guy, let me be clear. There are absolutely situations where buying makes sense. You plan to stay 7 to 10 plus years. The break-even point on buying versus renting, when you factor in closing costs, usually 2 to 5% of purchase price, is typically 7 to 10 years. If you're moving in 5 years, you almost certainly lose money. You're in a low-cost area with high rents. Some markets have such inflated rent prices relative to purchase prices that the math flips. This is rare in major cities, but it exists. You value stability over returns. If you have kids and want them in the same school district, if you want to renovate exactly how you like, if peace of mind is worth more to you than money, that's valid. Just be honest that it's a lifestyle choice, not a financial one. You're disciplined enough to invest the difference. This whole analysis assumes you're actually investing that $1,636 per month difference. If you're going to spend it on restaurants and vacations, the forced savings of a mortgage might actually be better for you. Here's what makes me genuinely frustrated about this. I've watched people make $300,000 to $500,000 mistakes because they believed the "rent is throwing money away" myth. I've seen people buy homes in their mid-20s only to get job offers in other cities that they had to turn down because they couldn't afford to sell yet. I've seen couples stretch to buy a house they can barely afford, then live paycheck to paycheck with zero emergency fund because at least we're building equity. I've seen people pass up starting businesses, going back to school, or investing in their careers because all their capital is locked up in a down payment. The flexibility of renting isn't throwing money away. It's buying options. It's buying the ability to take a job across the country. It's buying the ability to invest in yourself. It's buying the ability to keep your money in assets that actually grow. So, here's what I want you to do. First, stop letting people shame you for renting. You're not financially illiterate, they are. Second, run your own numbers. Don't trust rules of thumb. Use a real rent versus buy calculator that includes all costs: mortgage interest, property tax, insurance, maintenance, closing costs, opportunity cost of your down payment. Third, if you're renting and saving the difference, actually invest it. Open a brokerage account, set up automatic transfers, and put it in low-cost index funds. The math only works if you actually do this part. Fourth, if you do decide to buy significantly less house than you can afford. If you're approved for $600,000, buy at $400,000. The bank's calculation of what you can afford is designed to maximize their profit, not your wealth. Fifth, remember that a primary residence is not an investment. It's a consumption good that sometimes appreciates. Your actual investments should be in assets that generate cash flow or growth without requiring you to live inside them. Look, here's the thing. I'm not telling you to never buy a house. I'm telling you to stop believing that renting is financially irresponsible. The math is clear. In most situations, especially in expensive cities, especially if you're young and mobile, renting and investing the difference will make you significantly wealthier over time. You're not throwing money away on rent. You're buying flexibility, you're avoiding massive amounts of hidden costs, and if you're smart about investing the difference, you're building wealth faster than your homeowner friends. They just can't see it yet because it's not sitting on their street with their name on the mailbox. The real estate industry has spent billions of dollars convincing you that renting is for suckers and buying is the path to wealth. They make money when you buy. They make money when you sell. They make money on your mortgage. They don't make money when you rent cheaply and invest the difference in index funds. So, who do you think has been giving you advice your whole life? If this changed how you think about renting versus buying, hit that like button. Subscribe for more financial truth that goes against conventional wisdom. And drop a comment below. I want to know, are you renting, buying, or still trying to figure it out? I'm Max, and I'll see you in the next one.